Hey kids, I'm back with more BattleTech. Sorry for the week break. There was a bunch of stuff after I got back from this long trip, and I was really jet lagged, and it just didn't work out for me to record last week. But this week I am back, and I've got something that I know many of you have been waiting for, which is my Federated Sons Best of Battle Mechs. And I learned some things from putting this list together, because I always think of the Federated Sons as kind of like the overpowered Mary Sues of BattleTech. In terms of the story, they kind of are, but in terms of the mechs, I honestly ended up thinking they're not that overpowered, especially compared with like the Lyran Alliance, or even compared with the Draconis Combine. I think the Federated Sons, they've got some great mechs. They're not perfect. They have some strong mechs, but they don't have mechs that kind of blow the competition out of the water. And partly this is due to what are their signature technologies, because the Federated Sons, a lot of their stuff is focused around autocannons, and as many of us know, autocannons are not the most optimized weapons in BattleTech. Once you get precision ammo and stuff like that, regular autocannons are pretty strong for sure. LBX autocannons are pretty strong for sure. Ultra autocannons, they're okay. And like the rotary autocannons, which are one of the main focuses of the Federated Sons, they're pretty good, but they're far from being the end-all and be-all in BattleTech. Another piece of technology that characterizes the Fed Sons is the targeting computer. And that is a technology that is extremely strong, especially if you're playing battle value balanced games, because having a targeting computer on a mech is considerably cheaper in terms of battle value than leveling up your mech's gunnery skill by one. So I'll definitely grant that the targeting computer is a strong aspect of the Federated Sons arsenal. The only issue is that most of the Federated Sons mechs with targeting computers are not all that optimized. But a period when they really do have a lot of special stuff to offer is certainly 3025. The Federated Sons mechs in 3025, I guess I would probably say that they're on average the strongest. Let's take a look first at their Phoenix Hawk, the Phoenix Hawk 1D. The differences between this and the standard Phoenix Hawk are pretty straightforward. It gets rid of the machine guns and ammo, and it puts on a couple of extra heat sinks. This isn't, perfect exactly, and in particular the mech still has the weak head armor of the original Phoenix Hawk, but it is an improvement. Phoenix Hawks run hot, and that's fine because they can jump away from the action, but it's always better to not run so hot, I think. And the 12 heat sinks, it does really make a difference in terms of what you can do. Especially a thing that you can do with this mech is you can jump and fire both medium lasers and be heat neutral. That's a very nice thing about the Davion Phoenix Hawk. By the way, I'm saying Davion here. People say different things. Most people tend to say House Davion, and I guess that's probably the official pronunciation. I grew up saying Davion. That was what my friends said, so sorry, I kind of can't stop saying that. Okay, so the 3025 Warhammer D. This is a very, very special mech. This is a nice mech. This is maybe one of the only ones that you can really stack up next to the 3025 Awesome and say, yeah, you get about as much bang for your buck with this mech as you do with that Awesome. Double PPCs, double medium lasers, double small lasers, and the thing's got 20 heat sinks, which is really good, and it's got maximum armor, which is extremely good. So you got an energy boat, maximum armor. This thing is not going to die quickly. It's really special mech. The battle value is a little costly for what you get, but definitely not super costly for what you get. This Warhammer is definitely one of those 3025 mechs that remains playable in later eras. If you want to take a mercenary force or something in the 3050 or the 3060 period, something like that, and take one of these Warhammers as kind of an older mech that's in the lance, it hasn't been upgraded yet, but it's still really strong. That's absolutely going to be something that will work for you in the battlefield. That's how good this mech is. Now I could talk also about the 3025 Davion or Davion Marauder, but instead let's move on to some higher tech stuff. And the first one that I wanted to bring to your attention is the Rakshasa AR. Now the Rakshasa, it's a really good chassis just to start with. Like if you look at the mech and you strip off its weapons of a Rakshasa and say, what does this thing have? It's very special. It's 75 tons, it's got 580 movement, and it's got very close to maximum armor and plenty of heat sinks on board. So Rakshasas are already just a super high performance design. It uses ferrofibrous endosteel and an extra light engine to just free up as much tonnage as you can get and use that towards combat hardware. And this 1AR Rakshasa is a very special mech because its arsenal is based around two of the most optimized weapons in BattleTech that show up in the Jihad or the Word of Blake era, a snub-nosed PPC and the multi-missile launcher. Okay, so these MML7s combined with these snub-nosed PPCs, they give you incredible control over what kind of damage do you want to do at what kind of range with this mech. You could load it if you like with a ton of regular LRM ammo, a ton of SRM ammo, and a ton of Inferno SRM ammo, and you've got a really versatile mech for all kinds of battle situations. It has very nice brackets. You can fire the snub nose together with the MMLs. You can start bracketing in the medium lasers at close range and switching the MMLs to SRMs. You've got all kinds of options at all kinds of ranges. It's not very good at the longest possible ranges, but once you get into kind of like 12 or 15 hexes, so you do want to fight closer if you can with this mech, but it can hold its own at ranges up to like 15 hexes. A thing that we will see in this list is that the Federated Suns, they do really thrive in the heavy weight class, which is one of the best weight classes, one of the best and most versatile BattleTech weight classes. But anyway, here's a look at one of the best heavy mechs they have to offer. A mech so good that I've already devoted an entire video to it, the Falconer. Okay, if you are not playing for battle value, the Falconer is just, in my opinion, probably the best heavy mech in the game on the inner sphere side. It's got a just completely superior long-range punch. It fights, essentially it has a weapons arsenal that's basically like a Caesar, very close to a Caesar, medium laser, regular ones instead of pulse lasers, but it's got an ERPPC and a Gauss rifle for long range, and it's got 4 medium lasers for when you get up close. Okay, the armor, not so great, but definitely not terrible. And take a look at the movement, okay? Run 8, jump 5. This mech is incredibly fast for its weight class. You know, you're not gonna find a 75 tonner that can go this fast. And indeed, on the inner sphere side, it's very hard to find a 75 tonner that can even match this speed. So you've got that kind of speed. You've got those long-range weapons in that ERPPC and Gauss rifle, including the head capping power of that Gauss. This mech has incredible punch, incredible speed. It's got everything. It's like a medium mech on steroids, okay? The only thing is, those long-range weapons combined with that speed makes for a really pricey battle value. It's very difficult to make this mech work in a battle value balanced game. If you're not playing a campaign, if you're playing a BV balanced pickup game or in a tournament, and you want to take a Falconer, the second best choice, but the best choice for those purposes, is the Falconer 8R. Okay, instead of the regular ERPPC and Gauss rifle, it has a heavy PPC for a 15-point shot, together with an LB-10X autocannon for a 10-point shot. This mech has shorter range than the Falconer that we just looked at, but on the other hand, the battle value is a way, way better deal. And additionally, that LB-10X autocannon, it's one of the most versatile and powerful weapons in the game, and it can shoot right up close. So this mech, it definitely has significant advantages compared with the other Falconer, especially if you're playing for battle value, okay? It gets a discount of like 300 battle value points. That makes a big difference, and it means you really can take this mech. Indeed, what you probably want to do if you're bringing this mech in a game is just go all out and level up the pilot to a veteran 3, 4, you know, piloting skill 4, gunnery skill 3. That's ideally what you want on this mech, because if you're gonna want to be able to jump and use long range weapons, you really need that gunnery skill 3. And then if you're investing this many battle value points in a mech, you don't want it to fall over easily. So you're gonna want that piloting skill of 4. Okay, now the Nightstar, right? Now this is a kind of poster House Davion mech. Incredible firepower in both of its main variants. Everybody loves the one with 2 Gauss and an ERPPC, and yes, that is incredible. I wanted to highlight the other variant of the Nightstar, which I think is equally good, or maybe for its battle value better. This is the 9FC Nightstar. It goes a little faster. Okay, walk 4, run 6. That's really nice. And its primary weapons are those LB-10X autocannons instead of the Gauss rifles. Now, they don't have that head knocking off punch of the Gauss rifles, but they do have the ability to fire that cluster munitions, to crit seek, or to attack airborne targets. So this mech has a lot of different things it can do with its arsenal. And it's significantly cheaper than the original Gauss rifle Nightstar. So I'm rating it an A for both its raw combat ability and also for its battle value efficiency, because this is just an amazing deal to take this mech in a battle value balance game. It's got armor up the wazoo, it's got great weapons. Only thing is that left torso will blow up on you. Okay, it's got a lot of ammo, a lot of LB-10X ammo in that left torso. So watch that left torso. You might want to dump a ton of ammo, honestly, out of that left torso, leaving yourself with 15 shots for each cannon. That's pretty good. You know, in the way that the games are usually played anyway, like a pickup game or a tournament game, often you have a turn limit of 15. So that would make it pretty good to dump a ton of ammo with this mech. A thing you're going to start to notice is that quite a few of the best Federated Suns mechs are not such great deals for the battle value. And in that vein, the best variant of the Enforcer, which is the Enforcer 3 4G variant, it's an incredible medium mech. Okay, it's just chock full of medium lasers, plus a Gauss rifle. It kind of has basically the arsenal of, you know, the Capellan Confederation Jingao, which is a very strong mech, but it's got it all packed into a medium mech frame instead of a heavy mech. So that's impressive. The problem, of course, is you pay through the nose for this thing in terms of battle value. So I honestly would avoid taking this mech in a battle value balance game. I'd take a Falconer instead. But if you are playing a campaign game, and for example, you know, you're playing Mech Warriors 2nd Edition, and you pay the points to get a medium mech but not a heavy mech, well, this would be a great choice, because in terms of medium mechs, this thing really brings the hurt. Now, the FedSuns do not bring a whole lot of Omni-Mechs to bear, but they do have a really good assault class Omni-Mech, the Templar. The chassis is, you know, arguably the strongest inner sphere Omni-Mech chassis, at least during this period. And the base variant of it has some really strong features. It has a targeting computer, okay? So it's using that points efficient targeting computer, and it just loads it on there with a lot of pulse lasers as well as a Gauss rifle. So it's got some weapons that really just synchronize super well with that targeting computer. I mean, if you combine a targeting computer on top of pulse lasers, you're getting a -3 to hit. That's a huge difference. So you can hit pretty easily even at long range with that large pulse laser, which means it can provide some really good support to the Gauss rifle. So this mech, it's an excellent gunnery mech. You do pay for what you get, but not exorbitantly. It's definitely worth its battle value. In terms of another fast heavy mech, here's a fast sniper heavy mech that works pretty well. The second variant of the Argus, okay? You've got 2 LRM-15s and an ERPPC. You've got 5.8 movement, which is pretty fast for a heavy mech. And you don't pay an exorbitant amount of battle value for this mech. So it's a pretty good value for what you get. If you want a fast sniper that brings significant firepower to the table, this mech is useful. It doesn't have such strong armor, so you really do want to keep it back away from the action, and if the enemy starts moving even light mechs to start engaging it, you gotta send some support back to protect it, because it is vulnerable. But this variant of the Argus, in my opinion, really outperforms the basic variant of the Argus, which has a rotary autocannon based arsenal. The main reason why this one works so much better is because both this one and the base variant have that light armor problem, but it's a lot better to have a light armor problem on a sniper mech than it is on a mech that wants to get up in your opponent's face with a rotary autocannon. Now, a very good fast-moving Federated Suns mech is the Stealth, and this variant with the 3 ER mediums and the Streak SRM6 brings probably the best firepower that the chassis can bring to bear. It does have a really suboptimal feature, which is that it combines mask with jump jets, so you're kind of overpaying for battle value, but the mech does have really excellent capabilities. This is a really nice mech to take in kind of a fun game where maybe you want to take a 7 jumper, but you don't want to take a 7 jumper with pulse lasers, because 7 jumpers with pulse lasers are kind of overpowered. So in a friendly game, this can be a really nice mech to take if you want something that's got speed and great jump capability, but you don't want to just make your opponents rage quit. Now, the best mech that they have that uses that targeting computer to the fullest extent, at least in most eras, I would say, is this Black Knight 12 KNT. Okay? Everyone knows the Black Knight. It's an extremely good zombie mech in the sense that it has an energy-based arsenal and a standard fusion engine so that it's going to be very difficult to take down and destroy. It doesn't have any explosive components on board that are going to destroy the mech. You need to core out the center torso or kill the head in order to beat this thing. And this version, what it does is it upgrades the PPC and the medium lasers to extended range versions. It gets double heat sinks on there, so now you've got 50% more heat dissipating capability, and it puts a targeting computer on there. So if you think, what do you get when you put a Gunnery 3 pilot on a regular Black Knight? You're going to be spending about as much battle value as you spend for this mech, but in addition you get all that extended range and better heat capacity on this mech. So it's actually a better battle value deal than a regular Black Knight would be if it had similar gunnery capabilities. So I think this mech just does a great job of taking a mech that was already strong and upgrading its capabilities just straight up. You know, if a regular Black Knight fought against this thing, the regular Black Knight would lose every time unless it got a lucky headshot or something like that. This is really a great 75-ton mech. But an even better 75-ton mech. You're noticing a theme, by the way, which is that the Federated Suns is great at building good 75-ton mechs. And here is one that just, knocks it out of the park. The Penetrator, okay? 6 medium pulse lasers and 4 jumps. So it's kind of like a grasshopper, but based around medium pulse lasers and with ER large lasers for your long-range weapons. If you want short-range firepower in BattleTech and you want to hit with it, the Penetrator just takes it to the limit. You cannot do much better than this in terms of what can you pack in at close range in the heavyweight class, especially if you're taking resilience into account, because this is another mech that has an energy-based arsenal, although it has an anti-missile system, so that ammo is some amount of vulnerability, but on the whole, an energy-based arsenal and a standard fusion engine. So again, this is a mech that is not going to go down easy in any way, shape, or form. This is a zombie mech. Now let me finish it up with a couple of cheesier mechs, to be honest. A couple of mechs that you want to take if you're being really competitive. The first of those, which is a Federated Suns mech, is the Phoenix Hawk PL variant. Okay, the PL is for pulse lasers, and pulse lasers are among the most battle value efficient weapons in BattleTech. This mech combines those pulse lasers with a targeting computer on a jumping weapons platform. okay? You really do not get much more lethal than this mech. It can jump right behind you, and it doesn't even get a movement modifier on net to its shooting because of that -3 to hit from that targeting computer. So this mech is going to be just nailing your opponent with pulse lasers, a large and 2 mediums, every turn. And honestly, those ER small lasers are a nice addition too. You know, those combo well with the targeting computer, and they don't do that much heat. They just really combine well with the pulse lasers. Boy, this is a deadly mech, okay? Don't take this mech to be nice to somebody. Take this mech when you don't care about having a friendly game and you really want to win. And finally, here's a crazy mech. I didn't know about this, and some friends on the MRC Discord told me about it. This Axeman 4D, okay? Forget about the hatchet. Nobody cares about the hatchet. What do we care about? We care about targeting computer plus 4 light AC5s. Now the thing to think about here is what happens when you put precision ammunition on those light AC5s. That's a -2 to hit against fast moving targets. Combine that again with the -1 to hit from the targeting computer, and you're getting something that has a -3 to hit like that Phoenix Hawk did. This thing has crazy accuracy, especially for something where you don't pay that much battle value for it. You know, only 5-point cluster damages with those AC5s, but still, for the battle value you pay for this thing, it's an extremely high performance fighter, and I would just be excited to bring it. Again, this is a mech to take if you are looking to have a tough fight and you don't necessarily want to be super nice to your opponent, but you want to bring something that's going to be a serious threat. Okay, so there's lots more I could talk about. I mean, in particular, if you wanted to talk about another really strong Federated Suns mech, we could talk about the Sagittaire, which also combines pulse lasers with a targeting computer. That's a strong one for sure, but I think I'll leave it here. I just think this is a nice list of Federated Suns mechs, some of which you probably haven't heard of before, and you know, any one of them I think would serve you very well on the battlefield. A thing we've learned is that unfortunately a lot of the best Federated Suns mechs are not great deals for the battle value, but we've seen some mechs in this list that really are amazing deals for the battle value. So there's something here for any player, whether you're playing a campaign or whether you're playing a competitive game or a pickup game. You can find some good stuff in this list to bring. So go out there, put it to use. Let me know how it goes in your games, friends.